fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beer Brigade. I'm John Solo. You are not, and you can already tell I'm smiling. This is going to be a great episode. We have none other than the lovely Victoria Sue in the background. I'm going to bring her on in a minute. First, let me do some just brief show introductions here. One, I should put the ticker up, which I have not updated, and the button's not working. Fuck it. No ticker today, I guess. Oh, well, it was a good idea when I had it. So right now I'm finishing up a Tantor project for M.A. Grant, a lovely author, and it's fantastic. Unfortunately, I couldn't do a live read on it in the Facebook group. It is what it is because I didn't have permission, but I'm going to be finishing up tomorrow. Then I'm going into a lovely book by none other than our guest today, Victoria Sue. It's, I don't know, a fluffy baby and a panther and some shit like that. She's going to kill me for that. But yeah, we're going into that next. And then by the end of the week, we're going to be working on Nora Phoenix's Heel. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up over the course of the next week. There's a good chance I'm going to be doing a live read. Well, let me correct that. It's not going to be a live read this week on Friday. It's going to be a recorded read because I have the last gig of the year, it looks like, this Friday evening with the band. So I'm going to be at a bar running sound for a band on Friday evening, but I will record something for you from Friday's sessions and we'll post it up. Sunday, we're going to do another morning coffee. And what did you all think of that morning coffee this week? That was kind of a different kind of deal we did there. We did a studio tour and everything else, and I had a lot of fun making the video, so I hope you enjoyed it. Just a quick little promo bit here. In a couple weeks, we have a new segment coming up. We've kind of teased this, and some of the Brigadiers know about it. It's going to be called The Ramblin' Gremlin. It's going to be featuring our very own Melissa Gramling, and it's going to be a news segment. And we're going to be talking about the audiobook releases every week. We're also going to be talking about what little Alyssa Gramlin's listening to. And I think it's going to be a fun segment. That's going to be airing, I believe, on Thursdays, and that's going to start near mid-month, somewhere around November 18th, I think, somewhere in that range. I don't really know the dates. I'm not in charge of these things. But that's the new segment that's coming out in the next couple weeks. I'm excited about that. Other than that, it's business as normal for us. So, live video on Friday. That's not actually live. We're going to be doing the morning coffee and lots and lots of work. I think that's about it. So, without any more silliness from me, you don't need me chatting you up a storm here. I'm going to bring on our guest. Everybody knows this gal. She was one of the favorites from our GRL shows. I give you Victoria Sue. Hello, Victoria.
Hey.
Oh, dun, 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 dun. All that good shit. Even though, what's the North Carolina song? Is that, you live in North Carolina now, right? Is that it?
Yeah.
Is it North? Yeah.
I have no idea.
I'm sure it's like, down, 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 down. It's like the banjo song or something. Do you get a lot of rednecks in North Carolina? I haven't been there in a long time.
Not as many as in South.
Yeah. That's where Alyssa Gramling is moving, by the way. She's moving from Florida to South Carolina, so there'll be one more. One more for South Carolina. Do you get the, I've been in North Carolina twice in my life, right? And the last time I was there, there's some gorgeous, you guys are like on the western edge of it, the Smoky Mountains there, and it's just absolutely amazing. But there's some redneck accents going on out there too. Not everywhere, but you get the pretty thick, heavy,
Is this where I say y'all?
That sounded so natural. It's amazing.
I've been practicing just for this show.
I like it. Anybody that can say y'all and wear a tiara and sound that natural, that's a gift. That's amazing.
I try.
So I want to try this out. Everybody, I made a little shortcut here. So what I want to do is, if I click on this pen, what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to zoom into my camera. Let's try it here. Look at that. Dude, it fucking worked. Look at that. Now, if I do this, it zooms into your camera like that. And if I double click on it, it brings us back to both of one. That's the coolest fucking shit ever.
Wow.
Ha! I know. I'm a technical genius. So, it's been so long since I've seen you.
I know. Weeks.
You sent me the coolest picture this morning. You were messaging me this morning and you sent me a picture of your buddy, the dog. So you got to tell me, we talked a little bit about your dog, but what's the dog's name?
Bailey.
Bailey? And how long have you had Bailey now?
3 years. I got him from, I got him from a rescue in Orlando. And he was 10 months old at the time. He'd been at the rescue for 4 months before they could put him up for adoption because he was in such a mess when they got him. They actually, I mean, I know you read about this sort of stuff, but they actually got his sister like a few months beforehand, and she was in a bit of a state. And then they found out from somebody else that he was with the same cruel git that had the sister. And they actually broke into his crate, which was in the middle of Florida, in the middle of the summer, which was like nearly 100 degrees, no water, no food, no shade. And he was locked in this crate in the yard. And it took them 3 months with the vet to sort him out so they could put him up for adoption.
Oh my God.
Apparently that was the state he was in. But he is, he's wonderful. He's absolutely wonderful.
That's an amazing story. And I already knew, if anyone has met you in person, if they talk to you for 30 seconds, I know you're a good person. There's no doubt about it. But there's a risk involved here too, okay?
You have to make sure that, you don't tell anybody that money's changed hands.
Well,
that I paid you.
And I'm not cheap either. The fact is that there's a danger involved. Now, the picture you sent me this morning, Bailey's not a small dog. Bailey's a rather, I would guess 70 pounds, somewhere in there, 60, 70 pounds.
Yeah,
that's a large.
He's 78 pounds now.
Mm-hmm. So
but
that's.
The vet says he's perfect.
The vet says ours need to lose weight, by the way. A 78-pound animal, if that animal was upset with you, because I doubt you're much over 78 pounds yourself. You're not a very big gal. I mean, that dog could.
I loved you.
It could be a dangerous proposition. I mean, now. We're animal lovers here. We love our dogs, and I've had dogs my entire life. So I'm not saying dogs are dangerous, but I'll tell you what, a dog can be dangerous. So you take a rescue animal like that, and an animal that's been abused, and were you ever concerned? Were you ever worried? Was there a moment where you saw the look in Bailey's eye and it was like, uh-oh, this could have not once? Good.
No, it's weird actually, because we went to visit him twice, and then we had to prove that we'd got a yard that was enclosed, and because these dogs they get out and they run off because they're scared and they don't have any trust in the people that are taking them home. Mm-hmm. And we brought him home, and on the second visit my youngest daughter came with us, and I thought Bailey would kind of bond with her because he was taking notice of her. He didn't look the side I was on. He didn't want anything to do with me. He wouldn't come close. The times that I touched him, you could tell he was just putting up with me. He didn't like it. He was just really putting up with me. So we brought him home, and he spent the night underneath the dining room table. Absolutely petrified. He would not move away from that table. And the following morning, I decided that, sod this, I was going to take him for a walk, whether or not he wanted to go or not. And I fixed him up with his harness, and I took him for a walk. And he was like, oh, what's going on? And when he came back, he ate for the first time because he wouldn't have anything to do with the food the day before. And that was it. That was the moment. And I have no idea why, but there were 3 of us in that household, and he decided that I was his person. For the first year, he would not go away further than 8 feet away from me. I mean, you know what we lived in Florida, and you know what the ground floors of Florida houses are like. They're like all one big room. So it was probably from where you used to sit to watch the TV. It was probably 8 feet maximum to the kitchen. And if I got up and walked to the kitchen, so did he. He would not eat unless I was stood over his bowl with him.
Now, wait. You said Florida houses. I realize this is the point of fixating on, but I've never been to Florida before. And I don't see any reason to go, by the way. I love Jane Stoff. Liz is leaving. I don't see any other. Why would you? That's hell down there. No offense to Floridians, but you're saying houses in Florida are all like the bottom floor is all just one big room?
They're all like open plan. Oh, I mean, this is my ignorance. It might be the same in every other state, but the Florida houses that I have lived in, and I've lived in 5 of them, they've all been open plan. So that's where my assumptions are coming from.
Well, inbreeding, I think, is the dads have sex with the mom. I mean, it's just they don't see the need to have separate rooms away from it. Okay. That makes perfect sense to me now. Oh no, sorry. When we were talking at GRL, you talked about Bailey, and I wanted to. It's like you sent the picture this morning. I was like, "Fuck, I gotta ask about Bailey." I knew that was gonna be a big deal. Now, you were in Florida when you got Bailey, and then you took Bailey to North Carolina. Has Bailey adjusted to the different state, the different house? Was there any problems there?
Bailey doesn't care where he is, as long as he's with me, and he has walks.
That's a good dog.
And he doesn't. He doesn't. And I don't mean that like that because I'm like this sort of dog whisperer, because I ain't. It's just he decided that I was his person.
That's amazing. That's ours are like that too.
We work really well together. So
ours are too.
I told you at GRL, he runs my newsletter once a month.
So didn't you say he had doesn't he have like an Instagram account or something too? Is that
he goes on my Instagram account, but he runs, I do a weekly newsletter, and once a month Bailey takes it over and he does his recommendation that has a book with a dog in it, or the ones that are his favourites, and I think not the last one, the one before, he explained to everybody the trouble that I was having with my upstairs neighbours and how he'd sorted those out when they were getting out of the car and made them drop the coffee. And we've got this saga going on with this Labradoodle that lives across the road and that he quite likes. So, yeah, there's all sorts of things he puts in there.
Now, is the Labradoodle a female Labradoodle or a male? Because I know the kind of world we live in here. This
is very true. Yeah. No, he's a het lab.
Okay. That's a gay dog. We know now that Bailey's perfectly okay. That's cool. Our dogs have attached themselves to. Oh, hang on for a second. Look at this. I love that. I love this so much. It's fucking awesome. I know. It's fucking cool. Our dogs have attached themselves to Jody. They could care less about me. Now they like me. It's okay for me to be home, and they're not like angry and growling at me and shit. But I've observed Jody had a doctor's appointment this morning. She had to go away and get work on her foot done. So when I get home, I went to a meeting this morning. I come back to the house. Jody's going to her doctor's appointment. The dogs are in the house. And the dogs, when I open the door, they wag their tail, of course. Hey, hey, hey. As soon as I step through the door, they dodge around me to run out the door, to get outside, to go smell right by the fence gate where Jody left. They're smelling, and now they're waiting for her to get back. I'm in the house. I can offer them a treat and shit. They aren't doing it. They're just waiting for her the whole time. They're human. They love her to death. It's amazing to me. They didn't attach themselves to me. So we are going to be working on another project coming up here soon. And in my mad scramble to look for a graphic for this video 2 minutes before we started the countdown, I decided, well, I'm just going to put that up. So before we talk about that, because I kind of do want to talk about it a little bit, how's the last one doing? I know we did the audio thing for it. Is it doing all right?
Really good, yeah.
I'm not allowed to look at reviews so I haven't looked at anything. I'm kind of hoping
I
it
try
did.
not to.
Yeah. Well, we were talking before we came on the air.
Depends. I mean, I'll look on the Amazon, but I won't look at them on Goodreads.
Well, yeah, we were talking about Goodreads before.
Yeah.
Did you go through that period like I did, where I remember 5 times a day I would look for reviews on Audible. I'd be like, did anybody review it? Anybody? Did you go through that?
I mean, I don't know if you know or not, but I've been writing I've been published for nearly 6 years now. And one of my best-selling series, and still 6 years on, is called Serious Wolves. And the first book, Orion Circle, when it came out, maybe I shouldn't say this, but you have to promise not to tell anybody if I tell you.
Okay. It's just me and my 1,200 closest friends. You're cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. These 2 reviewers reviewed this book, and they did this thing about they were drinking and they were having fun, and and it was good, and they ripped it to shreds, like completely, and that was it. I'm like, no, either I stop writing or I stop reading reviews. I can't do both.
I don't blame you. The one review, I still have one to this day. Now, Jody, when she was narrating, had the best worst review I've ever seen in my life. Just 3 words. It was worst, period, narrator, period, ever, period. That was the entire review. But I always have that one that just sticks out to me like a sore thumb. And they'll actually find something that you already don't feel that confident about, and they'll harp on that one, and they'll fucking nail it. And then, like 3 o'clock in the morning, you wake up in a cold sweat, and and I would start to think, like, maybe I could make a fictitious account, and I could go on and do my own review, and just tell them how their review was wrong, and I would do all that shit. So I decided I'm not allowed to look at reviews anymore. It's just that simple. I know some authors that still do. They still will look at the reviews and they will thrive on that. I can't find it.
I think one of the main things from Baby and the Wolf was that a lot of people felt that there was too much going on. It was too much action. And,
really?
Yeah.
Did one of them say, I want the sex, give me more sex? Did one of them say that? Because I know that person.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that. Funnily enough, I think because I write MPreg, that people expect me to write sweet, and I don't mean sweet as in no sex. I mean sweet as in no murders and kidnap and torture and
right. You're supposed to be nice to your characters.
Yes, except that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
And people who generally pick up one of my books, if they find that there's no tortures or serial killers or whatever in it, they're surprised. But if they want, I completely respect whatever a reader wants to read. They should know what they want to read, what they're in the mood for. They just know that isn't what they're going to get when they pick up one of my books. And it isn't. I mean, my guys I put them through the mill at the same time as they're having contractions.
I've got questions. So the first thing is, when you're making a decision as far as what to do to your characters, I'm assuming that you are maybe working out some sort of frustration that you've had in your life. Maybe somebody's hurt you.
Okay.
Show me on the doll where he touched you.
There is no decision, no prior decision involved in my writing. I would love to be able to sit here and tell you that I plan a book, I plan a series, I plan everything, but I don't.
Yeah, you're a pantser. Cool.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. I mean, Well, a lot of authors work incredibly well with that. Obviously, you've had a very successful career thus far, and you're a pantser. My best friend's a pantser. A lot of people are pantsers like that. So you're not actually sitting down and saying, you know what, that Bob guy 25 years ago said that thing to me in a bar. Now he's going to be my main character in a book, and I'm going to cut his dick off. That's what I'm going to do. You don't have those thoughts in your mind. Like you're not getting even with somebody or anything like that. It's just you enjoy torturing fictitious people. It's not anyone in particular.
I just get bored really quickly.
Well, for the love of God, give her a fucking Yahtzee game or something. No, I absolutely enjoy your style of writing in particular. I'm not saying this to be big-headed or anything, but I don't have to say yes to all the projects that come across my desk these days. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. It's a great position to be in. I say yes to the people that I like, and I say yes to the material that I enjoy doing. And I'm glad I said yes to yours. It's turned into a great thing. A wonderful partnership. And you may be the first person that I've worked with that has a tiara. But the fact that you're not as fluffy is fun for me. Now, I don't mind the fluffy stuff. That's all good. Also,
I like reading fluffy.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, and it doesn't stress you out and that sort of. But there are a lot of people that also enjoy the kind of thing that you're doing that's not fluffy. Now, obviously, now when you came into the impreg scene and you knew that the fluff was kind of a part of it, was there anything in your, like, let's go for the money, let's fluff it up a little bit in this genre, that's what they want, we're going to write what they want? Did that ever cross your mind? Because it's crossed mine on a number of occasions.
The trouble is that when I started writing MPreg, it wasn't really a scene.
Yeah, well, 6 years ago, it wasn't that big at all.
My first, not quite my first series, but my second series was MPreg. It was 3 alphas and an omega. And we've talked about this. But
yeah, we did.
It wasn't, I shocked my small publisher as much as I did me, I think, when the guy got pregnant, because they weren't expecting it.
It is a bit of a surprise. Somebody has said they love The Innocent Auction, which is one of your books. Yeah, and they said that's not a fluffy one.
No, it's we've had this conversation at GRL, but do you remember me saying that I really liked Regency Historical?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. But I wrote 2 Regency Historicals, except being gay in that time period. I mean, being gay is still in the 21st century incredibly hard, but being gay when it was a death sentence, I mean, yeah, and I know in some countries it still is, but in that time period was even harder. And I wrote 2 books, and I wanted to do that feeling justice, and I couldn't just do a sweet kind of, they're together, the Duke and the stable boy, and everything was okay. I still wrote romance, so it still had to have a happy ever after, but they had to go through the mill to get there, and a lot of it was true to life. And incidentally, that was my first rejection from a publisher.
Hey, there's
the first book that I wrote. Yeah, it was, because they found it too true to life.
See, do they actually send you letters? The publishers that I reach out to as a narrator, if you don't get a rejection letter, they just never respond at all, or nothing. Like you do auditions, and you just don't. Oftentimes, you'll never hear from them ever. And you can follow up all you want. They're just not going to say anything. It's like dealing with an attorney's office or something. It's very odd. But they actually send writers rejection letters? I would save those things.
I only, like I said last 6 years ago when I was trying, it never occurred to me self-publish. Self-publish wasn't really a thing. And the first small publisher that I sent Kyoto accepted it straight away.
Yeah, you said that.
And
I remember that one. Look at that.
And the second publisher that I sent the Innocent auction to wrote me a letter saying that it was too graphic.
Well, now was it the men having sex that was a graphic part, or was it the men pooping babies? So there's the men pooping babies.
No, the Innocent auction isn't MPreg. It was the being locked up in the prison and the torture and everything else that happened.
Yeah. They're weak-minded individuals. I don't mind that sort of.
So I did Innocent auction, Innocent betrayal, and then I did Orion's Circle.
Yeah.
Which I found shifters are my life.
People are saying that
having baby are even better.
People are saying they love your the Innocent books. So these must be a big deal. I got to say,
well, they don't sell. There might be a big deal, but I couldn't pay a mortgage with them.
Blah. Who the hell cares about it?
So excuse me while I just help myself to a little bit of lemonade here.
Go ahead. That's some lovely sparkling water you have there, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Of course it is.
I've never been hired to do any sort of this historical drama because obviously they're almost always like British and I'm not. So there are better people out there than me to do that sort of thing. So I've not read that series, but in speaking to some of the brigadiers and fans alike and that sort of thing, those come up a lot, and your Serious Wolves books come up a lot. When I'm saying, oh, I'm working Victoria Sue now, the Serious Wolves thing I think comes up the most, which is exciting because I think we've agreed. We haven't. I think we have kind of locked. I think we can say we've locked it down at this point. We're definitely doing the Serious Wolves thing, and I think I'm going to be starting on that in January, maybe sooner. Maybe it just depends on how the schedule works out. And that's, you said 7 books. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. It's going to be a long series. Also, somebody said can't forget her nights. I don't know what the nights are. Apparently, you also write nights.
Yeah.
But
English nights.
Of course they are.
It's Lancelot getting it on with Merlin. Did you
come from the fanfic world? Is that where all this? It's not Captain Kirk and Spock. It's Lancelot and Merlin. Okay, now.
Of course it is. You know me. How could it not be?
So we didn't talk about that as much, and that's something that I wanted to ask you. Why gay romance in particular? Are you in fact a gay man, or do you? I mean, how did you come into this one? I know why I came into it. I came into it to money first, and then I liked the crowd.
There's 2 stories. When I was 18 years old, I was just starting my nurse training back in the UK, and I come from a very sheltered, heteronormative family, 2 kids, mum and dad, absolutely zero experience with anything out of that lane. And I was just starting an 8-week rotation for nights, and it was in a medical ward, and I made friends with a guy who was dying. He literally had a really bad congenital lung condition. He couldn't breathe, and he was dying. Anyway, one night I came in and he was reading a Mills and Boon, which is the British equivalent of Harlequin, and I knew he was gay, and that wasn't ever a thing. That wasn't a thing. That didn't stop me looking after him. It wasn't a thing in the hospital. It just happened to be a thing. And I kind of, there's me with my 18-year-old, very sheltered self, asked him how come he was reading that, because there was a cowboy and a cowgirl on the cover, and he said, because they don't write romances for me. And I will never, ever forget that. And we spent 3 nights, and we talked about Jane Austen, and we talked about romance, and we talked about everything. And I will never, ever forget him. He was amazing. So that kind of broadened my life incredibly at that point, because I was a kid that didn't know anything, and that like opened up, a whole new world for me. And then fast forward however many years later, I was reading a Het vampire series, and book 5 in the series was 2 guys. And I am so ashamed of this, and I am so ashamed of it, but I will tell you, I skipped over that book. I skipped over that book because I was convinced that I wouldn't like it. And then I went back to it because the next book was delayed, and I loved it. And I absolutely adored it. And it reminded me of my cowboy back years ago. And it kind of all came together.
That's amazing. No. That's well. So you came from a home where I'm a preacher's kid, and a preacher that was mainly in the 80s and early 90s, that sort of thing. The gay was not a term that was thrown around positively around my home. I'm assuming that would be the same.
It wasn't that they were anti-gay. It was just not a thing. It was just not. It was not on anybody's radar at all whatsoever. We lived in this tiny Yorkshire town, and if there were gay guys or gay girls, they certainly didn't. They were out or saying this is how we lived.
So
it'd be friends living together, I would imagine.
There was an inherent fear that I had, and I talk openly about this sort of thing at this point because I'm grateful for the community that opened its arms to somebody that just I was ignorant. I didn't I didn't know, and there was an inherent fear involved in it. I worked in a nursing home for a very brief time when I was about 18, 19 years old. This is a very short stint as a nurse's aide for about 6 months. And there was a gentleman that was dying of AIDS in there. And we weren't allowed to, as a nurse's aide, I wasn't a nurse. I wasn't allowed to walk into the room. I wasn't allowed to cross the threshold because this was mid-90s. And they didn't understand how I could get infected or not. They didn't understand how the infection was really transferred from one person to another. So, for fear of that and the fact that I'm an $8 an hour employee, they're like, you don't cross this line. You understand? There was an inherent fear involved. And HIV and AIDS at that point was purely only in our minds, the way we were educated, a gay disease. That's the only people that ever get this thing. And it scared me. And it scared me on a number of levels. And not necessarily, and this is my point, just the HIV, gay. I'd never been around a single person who had said to me, not that it matters. Now I know. I didn't then. Not that it matters. I'm gay. I was scared, ignorant. It's the way to describe it. For me, the transformation happened as I befriended several people that they were my friends. And then it turns out, hey, they're gay. And I had to make a decision in my head, well, does that really make a difference? Coming from an ignorant background. And I had to learn that, no, in fact, it doesn't. I don't care who you fuck. It's just, why would that matter to me one way or the other? It doesn't. But it took a little while to come from the upbringing I had to get to there. That's another reason why this community is so beautiful and so wonderful. This is not the first time I've told this story to this crowd. And no one has ever come out and said, damn you, John Solo. No. They're nice, loving, willing people that are willing to educate, accept, and kind of accept where we all are. Now, I didn't take that to the level that you did of writing the stories. You do something that I cannot do, and it's fascinating to me. It's fascinating to me, all my writer friends that I have. You can take that inspiration, take a blank piece of paper, and write a story. from nothing, just in your head. It like drools out the side of your ear. I don't know how it works. But it comes out and you can inspire others with that, and you can create something out of absolutely nothing. It fascinates me. I will never, it will never lose that fascination. At least I hadn't yet, and it's been a lot of years. So I know that you were a nurse for a while. When did you stop nursing? Was it when you came to the States?
No, I never went back to nursing after my youngest was born, and she's 22 years old now.
You said something about that in our last interview, but I didn't remember specifically which. So
Yeah. No, she
that
isn't.
was-
She's yeah. I never went back. I did other things. I helped my husband's business in the office, and then I also I was an aide or teacher's assistant in a primary school. They call them, what do they call them in America? You know, the little ones.
yeah, brats is what we call them in America.
Yeah, I know. The name's gone totally out of my head.
Preschool,
You don't call
preschool,
No.
kindergarten, daycare,
no, older.
Montessori academies. We have those. We have those as well.
No, it's the kids that are like up to like 10, 11.
The kids that aren't right in the head, the short bus kids, because that was kind of me too. I never did ride I always wanted to ride the short bus. They wouldn't let me on the short bus. I don't know. The 10 or 11-year-olds, the YMCA, is that what they go to the Y sometimes? 10 or 11-year-olds nowadays go to the drug dealers.
Can I just ask, you haven't said a word about my tiara.
Well, I meant,
me. You just like kind of absorbed it,
You don't understand, Victoria. Okay, I've had guests on the show that show up with like penis hats on and shit.
Okay.
Like what you're wearing right
boring.
now, that's pretty fucking normal. I think you're all right. And by the way, now I've met you and you're a fairly small lady and your hands are kind of tiny like you, but that's a big wine glass, okay, is what I'm trying to get. That's not like, I mean, I was thinking like comparatively, she's got small hands. I could be just normal. No, that's pretty big. It's all right. You're going to fit right in here. They're going to like you. Did you put ice in your wine? I'm an alcoholic, and I still know that that's a faux pas.
Yes.
You're not supposed to put ice in your wine.
Oh, yeah, no, it is for me.
Yeah? Is that the way they do it in North Carolina?
I know. It's because I tend to drink quite fast.
You're my kind of gal.
Yeah. I like throw tons of ice in there, and then I drink the ice as well, and it kind of waters it down a little bit.
That works. Sometimes I went two directions with this. I used to, I was a beer drinker first, and then the beer just didn't do it for me anymore, so I went to vodka. But sometimes people around you get a little freaked out when you're just taking a bottle of vodka and chugging it, so I'd pour it in beer.
No.
That way people wouldn't, so I'm not getting drunk and just drinking beer. And I do that for a little while. But then I would tell myself the same, well, it's just diluting the beer is all it's doing. With vodka, that's the way an alcoholic mind works right there. By the way, we've done 40 minutes standing on our head. I could have you on every day. You're just fine. We didn't do much talking about Baby and the Panthers, so because
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I'm sorry.
This is a conversation between mates.
Well,
as in friends. Not mates, shifter mates.
I figured that was some sort of British thing. I didn't. I'm not having babies poop out my butt. That's just not going to happen. Is it the baby putting it to the panther, or is it the panther putting it to the baby? I'm not sure what's in the story. So. That's gonna be the frame I'm gonna use on YouTube right there.
I just need to say that my babies, not my personal babies, the babies in my book, do not come out of butts. You know this. You have read, you have narrated my books. They do not come out of butts. So they are not butt babies.
They come out the penis. I'm gonna be the
No. No.
I talk about that all the time because I can't believe an author wrote that. The baby's coming
Is
out of
that
the penis. Like,
is that
it's a horrible.
mug in honor of me?
I don't know. I'm not sure what book it is.
That you no mug. You just picked
Oh,
up one. I'm
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure it said the Beatles on it.
Sorry, I couldn't,
Yeah,
with your North
it's in
Carolina
honor
British
of me.
accent, I couldn't, yeah.
It's an honor of me.
The Beatles are a big thing in my household and in my family. And I have a favorite coffee cup. It's a Star Wars coffee mug, but I broke it. Melissa Gramling sent me a huge ass, like, Star Wars coffee mug. And I was working on the Jeep and I broke the coffee mug. So now I'm down to the Beatles, Robin Hood, and one smaller Star Wars mug. And they're all filthy dirty too, because I drink like the blackest black coffee you can get. And it causes, no one cares about what I'm talking about right now. I just had 3 evil drop there.
Oh, no one cares about what I talk about, so we're in good company. It's fine.
It's perfect. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate this. And really, you're welcome on anytime. You're going to be a regular. Luckily, you grasped the concept, too, that this isn't, we normally never do promotion on this.
Don't forget, next time we're going to do accents.
So I talked to some of the Brigadiers about this in Discord a couple days ago, and I mentioned that you were down for doing a duet narration with me live, like kind of like I do with Andrew, but... And I'm just going to quote you here, better. I think that's exactly what but better.
No, I just said that the readers could choose what accent we had to read the little bits in, and then they could, they might want me to read it in Russian or whatever.
Right. I've been trying to explain to one of my good friends that I only do one Eastern European accent, and it's Russian. So I don't care what kind of Slavic accent's Russian. Okay, but what if they're Russian? Yeah, it's all Russian. By the way, Susan Buttons just said that she can't wait to see you at Coastal Magic in February. Is that going on? Is that going down?
Yeah, absolutely.
I should look into that one. I've never been there. Thank you. And yes, I think what we should do is maybe next week. Whenever this is going to be out pretty quick, I'll be done with this by the end of this week. And as we all know, I'm kind of a big deal.
From the 6th to the 13th.
That's bullshit, by the way. When are you leaving for Vegas?
It's the 20 Books conference, which is why I've got this on, because this is what all the romance authors wear.
I did not know this. Is this? Do you have to write 20 books to get into this thing? Is that the?
There's going to be 1,700 authors there.
Jesus.
So it's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of competition. Maybe you can Nancy Kerrigan out a few of them.
We won't all be wearing tiaras, just the special romance authors that will be. Because we're the best.
Yeah, well, obviously. You sell the most books, that's for fucking sure. I've not heard of this conference, so I guess we'll line this up for a couple weeks from now. And maybe I should delay the release on this until you get, I don't know. I guess you don't have to be in town for us to put it out. We'll figure it out. But regardless, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it very much. If you could do me the courtesy, I ask everybody, because I always miss comments. If you could look at the comments and reply to some of them that I missed saying, that would be fantastic. Everybody, this is going to be up on YouTube tomorrow, and I'll send you the link as well so you can put it up there too. Have fun, everybody. I will see you on Friday, even though I won't be live, but I'll still see you on Friday. And this is the easy part, Victoria. All we have to do is wave at the camera and don't flick them off. I don't know why you're flicking them off like that, but see you later.